The fallout from the latest White House shakeup, Gary Cohn, the top economic advisor to President Trump, announced he will resign yesterday. Cohn's exit from the White House comes after he was unable to persuade President Trump to forego plans to implement tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. Joining me now in a Fox Business exclusive is Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. Secretary, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, Maria. Great to be with you. Thank you.
What happened with Gary Cohn?
Maria, first of all, I've known Gary for a long time. He's been a terrific partner in working here on tax reform and other things. As you know, there was a lot of speculation after tax reform whether he'd stay or not, and Gary's decided to move on. But we have a terrific economic team here, and we're going to consistently execute the president's strategy.
Let me ask you about that strategy, because obviously this idea about tariffs has created a lot of upset. There's a split between the president and leaders on Capitol Hill. There's a split between the president and the Wall Street Journal op-ed, CEOs across the country. Have you had conversations with Republican lawmakers who are also pushing back on this idea?
Maria, I've had lots of conversations, and this is nothing new. So let me just say, from day one, going back to the campaign, the president's been very consistent. His number one objective is economic growth. We've talked about tax reform, regulatory relief, and trade. These are all issues we've talked consistently about. So first we executed on tax reform and regulatory relief. We're focused on renegotiating trade deals. Secretary of Commerce, who I've worked with for a long time, he delivered the 232. This is nothing new, Maria. So this is part of a focused strategy on the president is delivering for the economy.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that. I'm glad you brought up 232, because this 232 notion that this is a national security risk is one of the reasons that people are questioning, actually, because after the president said that this was a national security risk, he tweeted out that Canada and Mexico will not get subject to these tariffs if, in fact, we get a good NAFTA deal. So is this national security, or is this just sort of playing poker on NAFTA?
No, it is national security, but Canada is a very important national security partner with us. We have good two-way trade on steel with them. The president has spoken to Trudeau. I spoke to Bill Morneau yesterday, the finance minister, and we're cautiously optimistic on NAFTA. This is part of those discussions, but assuming we get the new NAFTA deal done, they will be exempted.
Has anything changed in terms of their positioning as a result of this tactic, as a result of instituting or announcing an instituting of these tariffs?
I don't know if anything's changed or not changed, but what I would say is it's a priority of ours. The president, again, going back to the campaign, has been very clear. NAFTA is an old deal. He wants to renegotiate that deal. We're in the midst of renegotiating it. Ambassador Lighthizer just got back from Mexico as part of those negotiations. And these are all part of our overall economic strategy.
Right. You know, there's a feeling that, on the one hand, the president is right. $800 billion in a trade deficit, and then losses year over year, that the U.S. is constantly on the losing end of a trade deal is an issue, for sure. But is there another way to get a better trade situation away from these tariffs, 25% tariff on steel? Because even Republicans in Congress will say maybe there's a better way to do it, a more surgical way to do it. Is there a different solution here away from these tariffs?
Well, again, I think you're talking about different issues. So on trade overall, again, we have a very clear strategy on renegotiating. This is about making sure that American companies have a level playing field. So we've talked very specifically about China. Last week, I had very direct discussions with my counterpart on Chinese trade. The president has discussed this with President Xi, and we're determined to make sure that we have reciprocal trade with China.
If this is about China, Secretary, why not just do something specifically with China? Why a tax, a tariff on all makers of aluminum, all makers of steel coming into the country? Why not just deal specifically with China?
Again, we'll do that as well. But as it relates to the steel, okay, the president is determined that we maintain the steel industry. This is not new. Other presidents have done similar types of things. So let me just remind you, this is not the first time this has ever been done. And we've done a careful analysis in looking at this. And as I said, we have a mechanism to carve out countries. We'll consider these things. And, you know, we're moving forward with the ability to do this on steel and aluminum and move forward with our strategy.
Do you worry that while you're trying to protect the hundreds of thousands of jobs in the steel industry, you're threatening millions of jobs in other industries? So you've got a steel industry that you're talking about, what, 600,000 jobs or 650,000 jobs, but you're talking about 6.5 million jobs of those companies that are actually importing steel, importing aluminum. Their costs will go up.
Maria, I can assure you the president is very focused on jobs. As you know, it's his #1 priority. The president is not going to do anything that creates job loss in these other areas. Again, we have a thought-out process. This is something we've been talking about for a long period of time. And again, it's just part of the overall economic plan. So we're comfortable with the economic impact, and we're going to be careful. Again, there's a process, whether it's specific steel that we need, that there'll be a process to exempt certain things that we can't make here. Again, we're going to be very focused on the impact on jobs.
What is the impact on growth, Secretary? I know that your priority has been jobs and economic growth, but if you actually see these tariffs take away from that growth, was it worth it?
Again, Maria, we are very focused. I think we've talked about 3% sustained economic growth. Last year, there were a lot of people who said that would never be achievable. We've had 2 quarters so far of above 3%. I can tell you the president couldn't be more focused on growth. That's the #1 area of focus.
So what you're saying is these tariffs will not impact economic growth?
We're comfortable that we're going to manage through this so that it is not detrimental to our growth projections.